Cameras didn't just witness monsters in California, they recorded something alive, moving, learning, and finally being caught there.
These videos were never meant to be seen. Doorbells, trail cams, dash cams, phones left recording by accident, all captured shapes that break biology and logic. Limbs bending wrong, eyes reflecting like wet glass, bodies too tall, too thin, too fast. At first, everyone laughed, debunked, scrolled away. Then came the second clips, the closer angles. The footage where they breathe, react, retreat, and in some cases, get surrounded, restrained, and dragged into the light. This isn't folklore or blurry shadows anymore. This is proof of things moving through neighborhoods, forests, rivers, watching us learn their patterns while we study ours. California wasn't just filmed, it was mapped, tested, and silently observed by something that didn't stay hidden forever anymore today.
Before we begin, like, comment, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered for more revelations.
At a suburban California home, a wide-angle doorbell camera operated by the homeowner captured an enormous shape stepping onto the porch. A massive body filled the lens, caught on camera. Limbs shifted under thick hide, filmed wobbling. Eyes reflected dull white, scientists shocked. The creature's height seems to compress under the porch roof. Limbs thick, yet strangely flexible with distorted joints. Skin smooth, pale, and stretched tight like overheated rubber. Movement slow and unsteady before a sudden forward lean, possibly indicating extreme mass combined with abnormal ligament structure, heavy as farm machinery, but balancing with unsettling intent, while audio revealed a low-pressure hum mixed with wind and a muffled human groan, and witnesses reported a strong odor of hot metal and rot clinging to the deck boards. If something this large can approach a front door quietly, what does it already understand about human spaces? Along a quiet California creek, a handheld phone camera operated by an angler captured a crouched figure perched on a fallen log above the water. A squat form hugged the branch, caught on camera. Arms flexed sideways, filmed tightening. Eyes glowed pale green. No one believed. The being's height appears compact while crouched, limbs thick and elongated with extra joint bends, skin greenish and slick beneath a hardened shell-like structure, movement minimal and deliberate before a sudden repositioning, possibly suggesting amphibious mutation or protective tissue growth, light as driftwood, yet gripping with unnatural strength, while audio carried a reed-like wind sound mixed with a strained human rasp, and witnesses noted a metallic rot odor rising from the water's edge. Its posture mirrors historical Loveland frogman accounts describing armored humanoids near rivers. If it chooses the log instead of the bank, how often has it watched lines cast without ever being seen? Inside a California apartment kitchen, a handheld camera documented the contents of an unmarked cardboard box discovered on a countertop. Small bodies filled the container, caught on camera. Limbs twitched independently, filmed overlapping. Closed eyes reflected faint white, scientists shocked. The forms appear infant-sized, yet malformed, limbs too short or doubled with irregular joint development, skin smooth, pink-gray and oily like unfinished tissue, movement sporadic and jerky, possibly indicating accelerated growth failure or laboratory-induced mutation, silent, yet collectively unsettling, while the room carried a sharp smell described as hot metal mixed with organic decay, and audio picked up a soft, wet sound layered with a faint wind-like hiss. If something like this can be left behind without explanation, what does that imply about what was taken away alive? At 9:47 p.m. in rural Northern California, a fixed-ring doorbell camera operated by homeowner Daniel Reyes recorded the event as he monitored alerts from inside his kitchen. A bent shape lurched forward, caught on camera. Limbs overreached the frame, filmed in a single stutter. White eyes flared back at the lens, scientists shocked. Analysis suggests the creature's height appeared inconsistent, compressing under the porch light before rising unnaturally, with limbs too long and double-jointed. Skin pale gray and oily as if sweating metal. Movements jerky, yet capable of explosive speed, possibly indicating abnormal tissue elasticity. or radiation-driven mutation common near forgotten industrial zones, hunched like a wrecked pickup but accelerating like an NFL sprinter. While witnesses later reported a sound like wind dragged through machinery layered with a broken human exhale and a smell of hot metal mixed with rotten tissue lingering on the concrete. If something this malformed can approach a lit home without fear, what does it already know about who is watching from behind the door? At 1:12 a.m., near a Central California cattle ravine, a solar-powered trail camera maintained by rancher Luis Moreno filmed the figure during a routine wildlife scan. A tall blur crossed the frame, filmed at ground level. Legs bent the wrong way, caught on camera. Green-white eyes scanned back, no one believed. The footage shows a creature with a height that collapses and extends mid-stride, limbs stretched too long with extra joint articulation, skin cracked and blotched like burned clay, moving in erratic spasms before sudden silent acceleration, which some researchers believe could indicate nerve misfiring from environmental toxin exposure or abnormal evolution in isolated zones. Heavy as a bison, yet stepping soundless as a stalking cat, while audio captured a distorted tone, half mechanical hum, half human breath, followed by a metallic rot odor reported by Moreno the next morning. If it learned the fence line this quickly, how long before it learns where the cattle and people sleep? At 11:03 p.m., outside a drought-abandoned farm in California's Central Valley, a handheld night vision camera operated by two urban explorers captured what they thought was a deer. The shape stood upright, caught on camera. Arms dragged too long, filmed shaking, eyes reflected bright white, scientists shocked. The entity's proportions shift unnaturally, with elongated limbs and twisted joints beneath pale, oily skin stretched tight like damp leather, movements halting then explosively fast, possibly suggesting extreme muscular overcompensation or genetic instability, and its posture and mimicry echo historical Skinwalker sightings across the American West, where witnesses described human-animal hybrids appearing near farms, emitting warped vocalizations that sounded like wind forced through a throat not built for speech, a smell of hot iron and decay lingering in the soil. If legends warned not to meet its gaze, what happens now that it stares directly into our cameras? At 2:26 a.m. in a Southern California suburb, a motion-triggered security camera installed by a retired engineer activated as he reviewed overnight alerts from his bedroom. A low body crept forward, caught on camera. Arms bent sideways, filmed dragging. Eyes flashed green-white. No one believed. Footage reveals a creature whose height changes as its spine flexes unnaturally. Limbs too long with extra bending points. Skin pale and cracked like dried cement. Moving in short mechanical jerks before sudden bursts of speed, possibly caused by malformed tendons or abnormal neural signaling. Hunched like collapsed scaffolding but lunging with predatory precision. While audio analysis detected a grinding wind sound layered with a strained human-like moan, and witnesses later described a sharp odor of hot metal and rot near the hedges. If it can crawl unseen through fenced neighborhoods, what stops it from learning which doors unlock first? At dawn off the Northern California coast, a commercial fishing boat's deck camera recorded the moment as the captain reviewed night footage after docking. A slick form rose upright, caught on camera. Limbs dangled too long, filmed dripping. Eyes reflected pale white, scientists shocked. The entity appears partially bipedal with inconsistent height, elongated arms, and distorted joints beneath blotched gray-green skin. Movements twitchy yet capable of sudden strength, suggesting possible deepwater evolutionary mutation or tissue deformation from prolonged pressure exposure. Heavy as a sea lion, but held like a broken mannequin, while crew reported a warped sound like air through pipes mixed with a human groan and a smell of metal and decay clinging to the nets. If something can adapt from ocean depths to open decks this fast, what shoreline does it test next? At 12:41 a.m., near an abandoned irrigation road in Northern California, a state wildlife camera operated remotely by a university research team captured the figure mid-crossing. A thin body sprinted upright, caught on camera. Legs snapped forward, filmed blurring. Eyes glowed green-white. No one believed. The footage shows a humanoid form with inconsistent height, limbs stretched unnaturally long with extra joint flexion. skin pale and slick as if oil-coated, movement erratic then explosively fast, which some believe mirrors historical Loveland frogmen reports of mutated humanoids near waterways, possibly linked to chemical runoff or abnormal amphibious evolution, moving like a wrecked bicycle frame propelled by a racing engine, accompanied by a distorted wind metal vocalization and a lingering smell of hot iron and rot in the dust. If it can outrun the camera's frame this easily, what chance does a human have in the dark? At 2:14 a.m. in rural Northern California, a fixed infrared livestock camera monitored remotely by a sheep farmer recorded movement inside a locked barn. A tall shadow split the doorway, caught on camera. Limbs unfolded inward, filmed trembling. Eyes flashed white across straw, no one believed. The figure's height compresses beneath the rafters, then elongates again. Limbs too long with extra joint breaks bending like snapped hinges, skin pale and cracked with a greasy sheen, movements halting and insect jerky before a sudden silent glide, which could be consistent with extreme tissue deformation or abnormal growth driven by agricultural chemical runoff, heavy as a bull calf yet moving with the precision of a stalking cat, while the audio track captures a distorted sound, wind through hollow metal mixed with a human throat clearing, and the farmer later reported a lingering odor of hot iron and rot in the stall if it entered a sealed barn without disturbing the lock. What other barriers has it already learned to bypass? At 6:02 a.m. along a Northern California reservoir, a handheld smartphone camera operated by two hikers documented the shape emerging through heavy fog. A massive outline rose upright, caught on camera. Too many limbs touched water, filmed shaking. Reflective eyes burned white. Scientists shocked. The entity appears inconsistently tall, towering then shrinking as mist hides its lower mass, with multiple elongated limbs arcing like collapsed crane beams, skin gray-blue and ridged as if pressure-scarred, movement slow and uneven before sudden repositioning across the surface, possibly suggesting Deepwater mutation or extreme evolutionary divergence under long-term isolation, heavy as a freight truck yet disturbing the lake with barely a ripple, while witnesses described a low mechanical groan layered with wind and an acrid smell like overheated metal drifting across the shore. If something that large can move without leaving tracks or waves, how close can it stand before we notice too late? At sunset on a Central California beach, a stabilized phone camera mounted on a tripod by a coastal content creator recorded the emergence near the surf. A head broke the sand, caught on camera. Jaw opened too wide, filmed stretching. Eyes reflected pale green, no one believed. The creature's torso rises at an unnatural angle with inconsistent height. Arms elongated and jointed beyond human range. Skin slick and blotched with sand clinging like scales. Movements spasmodic before a sudden lunge speed, possibly indicating malformed musculature or hybridized tissue adapted to tidal pressure. Its posture and shoreline behavior aligning with historic chupacabra accounts along coastal regions, where witnesses reported amphibious predators attacking livestock, accompanied here by a distorted wind mechanical howl and a smell of hot metal mixed with decay hanging in the damp air. If it can surface silently among crowds at dusk, how many times has it already watched us from beneath the waves? At 3:33 a.m. on a forested Northern California access road, a state-installed wildlife camera activated during a routine night scan reviewed by transportation staff. A small body crouched low, caught on camera, limbs splayed sideways, filmed twitching, eyes glowed white-hot, scientists shocked. The being's height appears child-sized while crouched, then briefly stretches taller as it rises, limbs excessively long with extra joint articulation, skin pale gray and oily like unfinished concrete, movements broken and mechanical before a sudden sprint across gravel, potentially linked to developmental mutation or radiation exposure near aging infrastructure, light as a coyote, yet accelerating like a racing dirt bike, while the audio registers a high-pitched wind metal whine, layered with a thin, human-like whimper and a faint metallic rot odor noted by responders. If it already knows how to freeze when headlights pass, what else has it learned about staying unseen? At 4:58 p.m. over suburban Northern California, a smartphone camera operated by a homeowner filming cloud formations captured the anomaly against a bright sky. A thin form stepped through clouds, caught on camera. Arms spread too wide, filmed drifting. Eyes flashed white. No one believed. The entity's proportions distort against the sky. Height indeterminate, limbs elongated and jointed like broken antennae. Skin washed pale by light with an oily translucence, movement slow and wavering before a sudden displacement several meters away, which some believe may indicate atmospheric refraction interacting with a physical organism or extreme altitude adaptation, its silhouette echoing historic Dover demon sightings, where witnesses described spindly figures appearing briefly before vanishing, accompanied here by a faint windscrape sound and an inexplicable metallic scent reported by multiple viewers. If it can appear where nothing should stand at all, what does out of reach even mean anymore? At 7:21 p.m. in an urban California parking lot, an aging handheld camcorder reviewed years later captured the creature mid-movement. A wing unfolded sideways, caught on camera, legs bent backward, filmed shaking. Eyes reflected dull white, scientists shocked. The footage shows a malformed, inconsistently tall entity with elongated limbs and partial wings sprouting at unnatural angles, skin blotched and leathery with pale patches, movements jerky and uncoordinated before a sudden burst of speed across asphalt, possibly the result of severe genetic instability or cross-species developmental failure, light as a large bird, yet landing with the weight of dropped scrap metal, while the audio track carries a grinding wind mechanical screech mixed with a strained human tone, and witnesses recalled a sharp odor of hot iron and decay. If this was walking openly in daylight decades ago, how many sightings were dismissed before we learned to replay the tape? At 5:41 p.m. in inland Southern California scrubland, a handheld camcorder operated by a wildlife volunteer recorded the figure during a heat survey. A fur-lined shape stood upright, caught on camera, arms swung forward unevenly, filmed shaking. Eyes reflected pale white. No one believed. The entity's height appears inconsistent as it rises from a crouch. Limbs elongated and slightly twisted with extra joint flexion. Skin beneath the fur dark and oily where exposed. Movement stiff and mechanical before sudden balanced strides, possibly suggesting abnormal musculoskeletal adaptation or gene expression triggered by prolonged environmental stress. Moving hunched like a toppled utility pole, but advancing with unsettling stability, while witnesses later described a low wind-through-metal sound layered with a breathy human undertone and a faint smell of hot iron and decay drifting off the ground. Some researchers note similarities to historic Skinwalker reports from desert regions, where upright figures mimicked animals yet moved with unnatural intent. If it learned to walk like us without becoming us, what exactly is it practicing out there? At 11:56 p.m. in a Northern California wetland, a handheld flashlight camera operated by night fishermen captured movement in the reeds. A wide silhouette snapped open, caught on camera, limbs stretched sideways, filmed trembling. Eyes flashed green-white, scientists shocked. The footage shows a creature with collapsing and expanding height, elongated arms supporting membrane-like wings with extra joint breaks, skin pale gray and slick as oil under moisture, movement jittery and defensive before a sudden forward burst, possibly indicating malformed connective tissue or hybridized development under environmental contamination, light enough to perch, yet launching with explosive speed like a sprung trap, while audio captures a distorted screech, part wind, part grinding metal, part strained human tone, and witnesses reported a sharp smell of heated iron and rot hanging in the grass. If it reacts this violently to light, how close have people already come without knowing? At 9:18 p.m. off the California coast, a stabilized deck camera aboard a research vessel recorded the anomaly as crew reviewed sonar alerts. A vertical shape rose silently, caught on camera, limbs trailed downward, filmed swaying, eyes glowed white-green. No one believed. The entity's height appears immeasurable as it ascends, limbs impossibly long and flexible like jointed cables, skin smooth, pale, and light-absorbing, Movement slow and floating before a sudden lateral surge, possibly consistent with extreme deep-sea evolution or tissue deformation under crushing pressure. Heavy as a truck, yet lifting without visible resistance, while crew reported a low mechanical hum mixed with wind and a faint human-like moan, along with a metallic rot odor drifting across the deck. If something can rise from that depth and look back at us, what else is already watching from below? At 2:07 p.m. in a flooded forest basin in Northern California, a drone-mounted camera operated by surveyors captured movement in still water. A head broke the surface, caught on camera. Arms bent wrong, filmed twitching. Eyes reflected bright green. Scientists shocked. The being's height shifts as it wades, torso partially submerged, limbs elongated with extra joint articulation, skin pale and cracked with an oily sheen. Movement slow and jerky before sudden lunging speed, possibly indicating amphibious mutation or abnormal evolutionary divergence. Heavy as a bear, yet nearly silent in water, while audio analysis notes a distorted blend of wind, metal scraping, and a muffled human-like rasp, accompanied by a smell witnesses described as hot iron mixed with decay. Its posture and swamp emergence echo historical Loveland frogman sightings near waterways, long dismissed as folklore until footage like this surfaced. If it chooses when to surface, how long has it been standing there unseen? At 10:44 a.m. offshore California, a diver's helmet camera recorded the encounter during a controlled descent. A massive arm extended, caught on camera. Fingers flexed too far, filmed drifting. Eyes reflected pale white. No one believed. The creature's body dwarfs the diver. Height indeterminate. Limbs excessively long with abnormal joint spacing. Skin smooth and gray like stretched stone. Movement slow and suspended before an abrupt directional change, possibly suggesting deep ocean gigantism or radical tissue adaptation. Heavy as a submarine hull yet maneuvering with eerie precision, while the diver's audio records a low-pressure hum blended with wind-like resonance and a faint human-toned vibration, along with a metallic scent detected in recycled air. If it can judge our size and stop just short of contact, what decision is it still making? In a rural California village road, a smartphone camera operated by a local resident captured the creature after heavy rainfall. A segmented body filled the frame, caught on camera. Too many limbs rippled, filmed advancing. Eyes reflected dull white, scientists shocked. The organism's length suggests inconsistent height when rearing, with dozens of elongated limbs moving in coordinated yet jerky waves. Skin black, glossy, and cracked between segments. Motion slow and grinding before sudden acceleration, possibly indicating extreme mutation or abnormal growth triggered by environmental contamination. Heavy as farm machinery, yet sliding with organic fluidity, while witnesses described a grinding wind metal sound, layered with a faint human groan, and a strong odor of hot iron and rot rising from the mud. If something this large can cross a village road unnoticed until filmed, what else has already passed through while we looked away? Along a remote California river channel, a handheld smartphone camera operated by a recreational kayaker captured an unidentified form moving just beneath the surface while others watched silently from shore. A pale mass drifted forward, caught on camera. Limbs broke the waterline, film distorting. Reflective eyes flashed white, no one believed. The entity's height appears inconsistent as its torso rises and collapses with the current. Limbs elongated and loosely jointed with unnatural flex points. Skin smooth yet blotched and oily like overheated plastic. Movement slow and buoyant before sudden directional acceleration, possibly indicating abnormal tissue density or mutation linked to freshwater chemical exposure. Heavy as a deer, but steering with controlled precision, while witnesses reported a low wind tunnel hum mixed with a muffled human-like breath and a faint smell of hot metal and decay hovering above the water. If something can swim alongside boats without surfacing, how many times has it already passed beneath us unseen? On a quiet California residential walkway, a phone camera held low by a passerby recorded an unfamiliar organism advancing directly toward the curb. A long, segmented body aligned straight, caught on camera. Too many limbs rippled together, filmed advancing. Dark eye pits reflected white, scientists shocked. The organism's length suggests an inconsistent vertical profile when rearing, with dozens of rigid segments connected by flexible tissue, limbs extending from each section like collapsed antennae, skin dark, glossy, and cracked between plates. Movement grinding and mechanical before a sudden burst of coordinated speed, possibly indicating extreme mutation or artificial-like growth triggered by prolonged exposure to industrial runoff. Heavy as construction equipment, yet flowing with organic rhythm, while audio captured a scraping wind metal sound layered with a faint human groan, and witnesses described a strong odor of hot iron and rotting matter rising from the concrete. If this many limbs move as one mind, what happens when it chooses a direction we're standing in? On an isolated California beach, a handheld camera operated by a stunned observer recorded a dark, upright form emerging from wet sand near the surf line. A hunched figure sat motionless, caught on camera. Hair-like strands clung and swayed, filmed dragging. Eyes glinted pale green, no one believed. The figure's height appears collapsed while seated, yet its limbs extend too long and bend at unnatural angles. Skin dark, slick, and layered with debris like decaying fabric. Movement minimal and jerky before sudden repositioning, possibly suggesting severe tissue deformation or parasitic overgrowth adapting to coastal conditions. Its posture and silhouette echoing historic coastal spirit sightings, where witnesses described human-like shapes crawling from the sea, accompanied here by a distorted sound, resembling wind through wet cloth mixed with a strained human tone, and a lingering smell of hot metal and rot. If it waits instead of chasing, what does it expect us to do first? Deep within a California woodland trail, a stabilized phone camera operated by hikers documented a moving structure initially mistaken for vegetation. A ribbed shape unfolded upward, caught on camera. Spines flexed like fronds, filmed swaying. Reflective nodes glowed faintly, scientists shocked. The organism's height shifts as its base anchors to rocks while upper sections extend and retract, limbs resembling skeletal vines with repetitive joint structures, skin pale, fibrous, and semi-translucent like bleached cartilage. Movement slow and wave-like before abrupt snapping motions, possibly indicating abnormal symbiosis between plant and animal tissue driven by environmental mutation. Its form heavy as a fallen tree, yet capable of sudden precision, while witnesses described a sound like wind dragged through hollow reeds mixed with metallic resonance and an acrid iron rot smell clinging to the air. If something rooted can still reposition itself, how much ground has it already claimed? On an open California roadway, a downward-facing phone camera recorded a small but active anomaly shifting across cracked pavement. A dark shape pulsed outward, caught on camera. Edges folded inward, filmed twitching. No eyes visible, yet it reacted. No one believed. The entity remains low profile, its height minimal, but expanding and contracting as if breathing. Limbs or protrusions briefly forming, then retracting. Skin pitch black and matte with oily highlights. Movement erratic and insect-like before sudden directional hops, possibly suggesting early-stage mutation or collapsed anatomy, adapting to surface heat, light as debris, yet behaving with apparent awareness, while audio captured a faint grinding wind hiss, and witnesses reported a sharp metallic decay smell rising from the asphalt. If something this small already reacts to attention, what does it become if it's allowed to grow? From a small California fishing vessel, a mounted action camera recorded an enormous aquatic form surfacing near the boat as onlookers froze. A massive back rolled upward, caught on camera. Arm-length fins reached forward, filmed straining. Eyes reflected milky white, scientists shocked. The creature's size overwhelmed scale reference. Height indeterminate as its torso curves beneath the water. Limbs elongated with abnormal joint spacing. Skin armored pale and scarred like cracked stone. Movement slow and deliberate before a sudden surge of force, possibly indicating deep river gigantism or extreme evolutionary isolation. Heavy as industrial machinery, yet maneuvering with calm control, while audio captured a deep pressure hum mixed with wind and a faint human-like vibration, and witnesses noted a powerful smell of hot iron and decay surrounding the boat. If it can rise beside us without aggression, how close does it have to get before curiosity turns into intent? On a California civic building rooftop, a fixed architectural security camera monitored by municipal staff recorded a crouched figure perched above the street. A horned silhouette, unfolded wings, caught on camera. Limbs braced wide, filmed locking in place. Eyes reflected stark white, no one believed. The entity's height appeared compressed while crouched, then extended as wings flexed, limbs elongated with extra joints like collapsed trusses, skin dark, leathery, and oily under stone dust, movement rigid and statue-like before a sudden wing snap, possibly indicating abnormal bone density or tissue reinforcement shaped by urban heat and pollution, hunched like a gargoyle but balanced with predatory precision, while audio analysis captured a hollow wind metal resonance mixed with a strained human undertone, and witnesses reported a sharp odor of hot iron and decay near the ledge. If something can wait motionless above public streets, how long has it been watching patterns below? In a scrubland clearing in California, a remotely monitored wildlife trail camera captured a massive upright predator interacting with animal remains. A broad back rose upright, caught on camera. Jaws opened too far, filmed clamping down. Eyes burned white, scientists shocked. The creature's height fluctuates as its spine straightens and compresses. Limbs oversized and heavily muscled with unnatural joint rotation. Skin pale gray and cracked like dried clay. Movement jerky and aggressive before bursts of startling speed, possibly suggesting endocrine imbalance or extreme muscular overdevelopment. Heavy as a bison, yet pivoting with feline control, while the audio track registers a grinding wind-through-metal growl, layered with a warped human tone, and the ground-level air carried a smell of hot iron and rotting tissue. If it feeds openly, without fear of detection, what has convinced it that nothing nearby can challenge it? On a narrow California residential street, a fixed municipal surveillance camera recorded a thin figure standing alone under streetlights. A tall outline froze mid-road, caught on camera. Legs bent wrong, filmed casting a long shadow. Eyes reflected white, no one believed. The entity's height appears inconsistent as it subtly lowers and rises. Limbs stretched far beyond normal proportions, with extra joint angles, skin smooth, pale, and slightly reflective. Movement minimal and calculated before a sudden step forward, possibly indicating advanced balance control or abnormal skeletal elasticity, built like a broken mannequin, yet holding tension like a sprinter on the line, while audio carried a faint wind metal hiss with a distant human-like exhale, and nearby residents later described a metallic decay smell lingering along the pavement. If it stands where roads converge instead of hiding, what exactly is it waiting to cross paths with? What you've just witnessed is more than a collection of strange clips or unsettling figures. It's a reminder of how fragile our understanding of the world really is. These recordings exist in the uncomfortable space between disbelief and dread, where cameras capture things our minds refuse to process. Whether these entities are mutations, misidentified phenomena, or something far more disturbing, one truth remains clear. We are not always the observers. Sometimes we are the ones being watched. The silence in these videos, the distorted movements, the moments where something stares back at the lens, those linger long after the screen goes dark. And as technology spreads into every corner of our lives, more hidden moments will surface, whether we're ready or not. If these cases made you question reality, trust your instincts and dig deeper. Like the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered, because the next piece of footage might not just reveal what's out there, it might reveal how close it already is.